Kaylor destroyed what had been up to then a 100% winning record with a moment's thoughtless action when he threw punches at America's Tony Serda after the bell had ended the 9th round. And for that, he was disqualified. Well, last night he made his first appearance since that setback against another American, Ralph Moncrief, and all eyes were on Mark at the start of the 10-rounder. Kaylor most certainly will want to put the memory of that last fight out of his mind, and also, I suspect, out of ours. Mark Kaylor, the British and Commonwealth middleweight champion, taking on this interesting character from Cleveland, Ohio, Ralph Moncrief, 33 years old, and you'd think from that age that he would have had a ton of experience. In fact, he's had only 27 pro fights, and that's only a couple more than Kaylor. I suspect that is largely because he's the sort of fighter people don't particularly want to tangle with. He comes with this reputation of being a man who can handle himself in any class. Kaylor been out of action recently with flu. In fact, caused the postponement of this Albert Hall bill for a fortnight. Useful looking left hook from Moncrief. Kaylor's getting picked off by punches very early on. And certainly will need to sharpen his defense. He never has been a fast starter, Mark. Moncrief is tall, wide stance, keeps plenty of distance between himself and Kaylor. Not an easy man to nail by the look of him.
Break away. Stand up.
Kaylor already knows he's got a crafty one here. So Kaylor looking just a little bit slow at the start and getting picked off by punches that shouldn't really have caught him, and so far hasn't really landed his best punches on Ralph Moncrief. Interesting fight. Moncrief has been a professional fighter since 1972, and at that time Kaylor was only 11. Moncrief is a born-again Christian, sometimes known in America as the preacher, and says his ambition when he turns up boxing is to be a minister. If he looks good tonight and does well in this fight, Kaylor is said to be lined up for a fight with Don Lee, the man who recently beat Tony Simpson in America. And of course, later in the year, a Kaylor-Simpson fight in this country would pull in a lot of money. So this could be a very big year for Mark. The hammer with the hammer in his hand. And Kaylor now beginning to warm to the task, and the punches are coming up much more crisply and accurately. And now he's beginning to look the part. And Moncrief, for the first time, is disturbed. Oh, what a good right hand that was. It spun him round. Turned him through 360 degrees. That was a good right. A little bit of world class showing there from Kaylor. Moncrief's walking to a neutral corner. Ah, that's where I live. Still in a spin. Let's just see again that right hand that turned him right round on his axis. Amazing punch. He was looking sharp, and that was brought from a long way back. He didn't know where he was. Whoops, round we go. And here we are again. Nasty shock for Ralph Moncrief. Round 3. So a shaky first round for Kaylor, and a much more impressive one in the second. Of his 24 wins, Kaylor has chalked up 21 of them inside the distance, which tells you a little bit about his punching ability. Moncrief has had 19 wins as a pro and 8 defeats. Been stopped only once, and that was on cuts. And it was back in 1973, so he's not an easy man to put over. And if Kaylor stops him here tonight, that will be a significant performance that will certainly put him in world class.
Right.
Facially, and in the build a bit, although there's a smaller edition, he looks like, a bit like Ken Norton, the heavyweight, who had those series of tremendous fights with Muhammad Ali. Speed of Kaylor's punches now beginning to take Moncrief by surprise. So a promising start to this fight after 3 rounds by the British and Commonwealth champion. Round 4. Moncrief arrived at the weekend from the States, and no sooner landed than he went for a 6-mile run, and that's his recipe for beating jet lag. It's not one which I intend to copy.
Moncrief, you're holding this young. Right.
He's an elusive customer, as you can see. This 33-year-old Moncrief from Cleveland, Ohio, knows his way around the ring. He's fought in South Africa, had a couple of good wins there 3 years ago against Bruce McIntyre and Gert Stein. Boxed in San Remo in Italy last October, went the distance with a man called Sambu Kambale, a fighter from Zaire, who's got quite a good European record. So he goes in with fair class, and he goes the distance with good people. But Kaylor is showing him speed of punching here, with which Moncrief can't quite cope.
I'm playing Moncrief. Let him go. You're playing with him. Let him go.
Well, although he's picking up a little bit of punishment from Kaylor's quick punching, Moncrief shows no signs of distress, and Kaylor will do well to stop this man, because he does know how to handle himself. So we're rapidly approaching the halfway stage now, with Kaylor comfortably in front. But can't afford to make any errors at all here against this man, because I'm quite certain that Moncrief will be very quick to take advantage of any slackness on Kaylor's part. Kaylor ran into a punch there on the nose and had a little dab at his nose with the glove, and then looked at the glove in case there was blood. But there wasn't. One of Kaylor's best punches, like Barry McGuigan's, is the left hook to the body, but he hasn't really been able to employ it much here, because I think somebody's wised Moncrief up about that. He's always moving away from the left hook, and has done throughout this fight. Moncrief had his best win in 1977 when he outpointed a man called Ernie Singletary, who later came to this country and took Alan Minter the distance. He dropped down the rankings a bit in 78 when Dwight Davison beat him. Davison, you remember, was the man that Simpson beat to win a chance at the world title. Oh, there it is, a right. Oh, he'll never get up from that. And in fact, Sid Nathan's already waving that it's over. He doesn't even want to count, because the man is totally stunned, taken full by a right hand, an extraordinary punch. It really was. It was like the one that spun him round earlier, only it was about 10 times as hard. That, believe me, was a sensational punch, and that is the first time in 11 years as a pro that Ralph Moncrief has been stopped by a punch like that. Only stopped once before, and then it was on cuts. So Kaylor certainly has achieved something that is quite remarkable in world terms tonight. That's a very fine win indeed. And he came to this ring to wipe out the memory of the disqualification, and he's done exactly that. Just have a look at this again. It really was an extraordinary right, and Moncrief was never prepared for it. He didn't have any idea of where it came from. Totally exposed to it, took him right on the side of the jaw, and from that moment he was a beaten man. I hadn't realized he took one more before he went down, but he did. But it was the right that caused the trouble, and Sid Nathan saw what had happened. He didn't even bother to count.